Welcome back, NoDQ Galaxy, to a brand new edition of the NoDQ Review, number 260, and I am the moderator, Virtue, being joined by this week's elite panel of the NoDQ Review. Aaron Rift is here, as always. JJ Williams is back in the house, Jeff Meacham, and the reliable one, Walter Cruz. What's going on? I'm just going to go around and get this out of the way. Jeff, what's up?
Mic on. Technology sucks, and so does Walmart. Anyway, it's good to be here. Looking forward to a week of positivity across the multiverse of media, but we got to get through Sunday apparently before we can actually have that thing start. So here we go.
I was struggling for topics today. We have them, but maybe the NoDQ Galaxy in the chat can help spicing the show up a little bit because we rely on them too.
As we do.
JJ, what's up? What hat is that? Donald Duck?
That is Donald Duck.
My favorite. In third grade, I don't know what grade. I might have been third. We did. You know how in elementary school you do those little shows and the parents come. We did a Disney themed one, and guess who got cast as Donald Duck?
Nice.
This guy.
Very nice.
Yeah. Anyway, pictures are not online for that, by the way.
Well, they should be. Damn it.
Well, they're on Polaroids or back in the 80s. You know.
Scan them mucker photos.
Haven't got up with. What's up, JJ?
Not a whole lot, man. Like Jeff said, just trying to bring the positivity. We got a big night ahead of us next weekend. We'll get to that in the shows, but the boss man of the multiverse has asked that everybody that's on a live stream this week represent in Disney gear. So here I am with my Mickey Mouse Club hat, shirt, and my Donald Duck hat, just ready to get into things.
He's ready, brother.
And like you said, man, it was a slow wrestling week. We struggled for topics on open mic night too. We had to scrimp and scrounge. So I feel your pain.
Vince McMahon's always in the news, though. We'll talk about Vince McMahon today. Walter, what's going on? Walter, you weren't even going to be on, but just in case somebody drops with whatever issues going on with Android and people, and Chrome, you are on just in case. What's up?
Nothing much. Roman Reigns. Okay, that should bring all the views and the technology to perfect now. All we got to just mention Roman Reigns and everything goes smooth.
There you go.
But I'm ready to get into it and let's see what we can do.
Interesting. And Matthew says Punk is stirring the pot tonight on X.com. I don't know. I'll have to check that out later. All right, Aaron, what's up?
Not a whole lot. It's been a bit of a slow week, and there are some issues for users on StreamYard that have Android devices and they're running on Google Chrome. So hopefully we don't have too many technical issues tonight, but we have 5 people on. We have 3 topics which might get heated. We might have some interesting debate here. And of course, shout out to everybody watching this live. Feel free to send in your questions via Super Chat. We might have some other interesting topics to discuss tonight. Challenge us. Give us something that might be difficult to answer, that might stir the pot. Like I'm all for CM Punk stirring the pot, but we need the pot stirred in this chat room and on this panel here so we can have a nice, good, heated debate and entertain everybody watching. That's what we're here for on the NoDQ Review, to have fun and to entertain. So Virtue, regardless of the topics, we're going to have fun with this and we're going to have some good discussion. So let's get to it.
Well, I got one. The first topic that I basically had to create so we had something cool to talk about to kick off the show. We are here in November of 2023, right? And we have WWE doing what they do, AEW trying to do what they do, or whatever you want to say. You got Impact wanting to call themselves TNA again. You got the alleged dumpster fire of NWA going on. You got New Japan Pro Wrestling. The whole world of, the diehard wrestling fan is in heaven because there is so much wrestling to watch. But how about a casual wrestling fan? But here's the topic, gentlemen. And JJ, I'm going to start with you. Who's the best top champion right now and why? And, we got Roman Reigns. We have Seth Rollins. We have Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, MJF. I don't even know who the women's champion. Shida, right? Yes. For AEW. So to me, those are the top 2 companies, top major champions, male and female. You can include other ones out there from other promotions, but you know my answer. So I don't need to say anything, even though he's only part-time. main event big time, only shows up when they really need him. But who is it? Could somebody have dethroned Roman Reigns because he's not there all the time? JJ, this is an opinion right here, basically. I'm going to start with you. You and Donald Duck are on the floor.
All right, so this might be a hot take because the person that I'm gonna name,
and you can go other title bouts. I only name the major ones.
I was gonna say the person I'm gonna name isn't a world champion.
Oh, great, Orange Cassidy.
No, I know.
No.
Okay,
I know it. I saw it in the chat. Go ahead.
I'm going with Gunther.
Yeah.
I'm going with Gunther.
Okay.
You know, it's
now why
it's
you have to explain. Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with the fact that Roman has been so part-time lately. I feel like, and we had a whole conversation about this last night on open mic night, and has Roman made the championship more important or less important? And we all kind of agreed, much to, I'm sure, your chagrin, Virtue, that in the opening year and a half of his run, he elevated that championship to levels that it hadn't been before. Once we got past the 1,000-day mark, things have really kind of started to taper off for Roman. And, you know, he takes his hiatus, comes back, has a match, takes another hiatus, not going to be back till Rumble, going to miss a Big Four pay-per-view. Like, it kind of takes some of the steam out of that run. And then you've got Gunther, who's pushing 500 days as Intercontinental Champion on a record-setting run of his own. Granted, he hasn't reached Roman's status of days yet, but he's pushing, you know, half of Roman's reign at this point, and he's consistently there. He's consistently fighting names, and he's putting that championship, and he's elevating the IC title to statuses that it hasn't been since The Miz in 2016. I'm gonna go with Gunther and his Intercontinental Championship.
Okay. All right, so we got a point up for Gunther. Now I'm gonna come over to Jeff Meacham and see if he agrees with JJ or has somebody else in mind.
I would like to ask Mr. Tito in the chat room. Let's see what he said here exactly, because I saw it come up there. He said, less is more. Roman wrestling less strengthens the world title. Less is more. Would you agree, and with the chat, with the room here, agree that Hogan wrestling less during his 80s run, the 1400 and whatever it was days, strengthened the championship? And there's an argument back and forth because wrestling peers like, no, he needs to wrestle more. And, you know, moneymakers like, well, hell, he's on TV so rarely that when he does show up, it's big money. So that's what Roman Reigns is doing right now. As far as the top, or the best top champion right now, or the top champion, if you, however you phrased it, Virtue, sorry. I don't think either MJF or Roman Reigns is the top champion. I just think that MJF's been booked so poorly as the AEW champion. You know, even going into this, you know, next weekend, it's supposed to be the big show for him, the 1-year anniversary of him becoming champion, and it feels like he's just kind of there on the show that he's the world champion of. Roman Reigns, when he is there, is still the guy. But he's there so rarely, it feels like there's always something missing. Whereas when Hogan would, it's a different era. Hogan was champion in the 80s when we had WWF superstars at best was the A show. My personal thought is I agree with JJ in that Gunther is there. He's there every week. Or his presence is definitely there every week, much like Roman's, but he's been a consistently defending Intercontinental Champion. He's made that championship, I dare say, even more relevant than when The Miz did. I say going back to the Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon era, that Intercontinental Championship means something to a lot of us old school wrestling fans. So I would agree with JJ that Gunther is the best champion in wrestling right now.
So I'm going to throw Roman right there. So we got a 2-1 before we even come to Walter. I actually have an honorable mention. Like if I weren't to pick Roman, and you were like, who would you pick if you didn't pick Roman? And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But to me, Roman, like, it's like boxing. Why did they get a pass as a top champion? They only have to have 2-3 fights a year. UFC, same way. But in wrestling, you must do it every week because there's so much wrestling programs on TV. I don't understand. I just, but it's still a combative sport. Why do you have to see a champion on TV more to say he's the top champion? That it's just you fall into that wrestling bubble of, yeah, we know it's fake, so they can do it every night. I don't buy that
because boxing doesn't have several weekly episodic television shows.
Well, because those
UFC,
sports don't have marks that want to know the business and see.
No,
and
I agree.
that's fine. I'm fine with Walt. I mean, Gunther, perfect. I mean, that's a great choice. So, like, to me, you guys have a hard argument. I don't know if I can. This is me combating that. Is just Roman gets devalued because he's like put on that boxing and UFC type. You can only have an opponent when there's a worthy one, and you're only going to wrestle or fight a couple times a year. It's just the wrestling bubble just demeans that whole thing to me. So I think Roman still holds his reign, still holds water because he's so dominant, and they can't find a challenger for him. Now,
okay.
Remember, I have another person that I think that would bump over Gunther, but I want to go for. So Roman is still my choice, right?
Okay.
Walter, it's 2-1. You're gonna bury me right here and pick Gunther as well. You are on the floor. But
it's Chelsea Green and Petra Nivens.
Oh,
yeah, I get what you say.
Walter's fired. Good night.
That was good right there. That was like a. No, you're not serious.
Walter's a hot.
No, yeah, of course not. Yeah, I mean, how can you not go with Gunther? Like, I'm trying to debate it in my head. If you look at MJF, he's barely even booked to defend that title. It's more about the tag title. Or they always got this saying in about keeping your head on the swivel, and it seems like MJF is storyline swivel because he's involved in so much shit he can't focus on one thing. So like that automatically gets rid of him. Yeah. Roman, he's a great champion, but you got that debate of devaluing the title. And I was the first one to say that it's like his first year and a half, 2 years was awesome, but then that third year it starts going down, and it's because. And then Seth got that backstory, and what devalues him is his rivalries. I mean, Shinsuke, who the hell thought Shinsuke was going to beat him for it? You got all these people that he's defending. Yeah.
Let me ask you this then. So, and I know I'm using my boxing and UFC comparison, and it's different. We know those are real fights. That's why they can only do so many of them in a calendar year. But say the top. I don't know Tyson Fury, how many days he's had as the top boxing champion, heavyweight champion. It's, Mayweather, those type of people, they 2,000, 3,000 days, and it's the prestigious, most dominant champions. But like in wrestling, if you're not wrestling, but you reach that type of thing, all of a sudden, these other champions that are on TV are more valuable. That's just my argument there.
Yeah, but then what happens in boxing, the UFC is, it's not the title becomes more valuable. That person becomes more valuable, and people get their fans. But then they have it so long that people tune in just to see them lose. So it's like it flips to that. Like, I just want to see them get their ass whipped now, so I'm gonna buy every fight. I'm gonna watch every fight that they're in. Like,
that's eventually a great Mayweather, dominant champion.
Yeah. Eventually Mayweather, everybody just wanted to see him lose, and he just never lost. It was like, God damn it. So he was smart and marketed himself that way to be an ass. So like boxing and UFC is different too. You got the weight cuts. That's why you can't do it all the time. Those weight cuts are brutal. Like watching somebody 6'2" try to drop the 145, 150, 6'2", 6'3" built guy going down to that weight to try to have an advantage it's almost cheating to me with the weight cuts to fight below what you should naturally weigh. So that's the difference between in wrestling is a weekly episodic. You know how Mike likes to say it. Michael Cole, like it's longest weekly episodic, whatever it is, but it's got to be Gunther by process of elimination, though.
So it doesn't matter what Aaron picks here. So nobody picked Rollins. All right, Aaron, I'm going to come over to you now just to see if you want to just go ahead and make this a clean shellacking of Roman and go with Gunther as well. What do you have to say? And did the chat say anybody?
Well, first of all, I'll give my thoughts on this. It's a tough call. I would say if you look at the whole sum of everything, Roman Reigns is the greatest champion of the past 5 years. His title run has been legendary. Now, if we're talking the last year or so, It has gotten a little stale, in my opinion, especially with all the matches ending the same way with the outside interference. I know that we talk about the mafia and all that stuff, but I just want to see something changed up a little bit. I've argued that he should win a couple matches clean just to really show his dominance, and he doesn't need to win every single match with outside interference. Last several months, it's a tough one because Gunther has been on a roll as champion. He's had great matches. He's really made it the workhorse title again. I might actually say Seth Rollins because I feel like he has gotten this championship off to a strong start. He's been a credible champion. He's showing up every week. Yes, the Nakamura match was predictable, but maybe Nakamura's best match since that Sami Zayn match back in 2016 and the clean win over Drew McIntyre, that further elevated Rollins as world champion. So as far as establishing that title as credible, I think Rollins has done a great job. So if we're talking about just the past 6 months or so, I would go with Seth Rollins. If we're going past 12 months, maybe I'd go with Gunther. If we're talking past 3 years, clearly Roman Reigns. So it just depends on the time frame. And all three have been great champions. And MJF has been great too. I mean, it's gotten a little lackluster, I think, because of the fact that Adam Cole got hurt and they're doing the whole tag team thing, and MJF's been on the pre-shows, which I think that's a bad idea, putting him on those pre-shows. I think that devalues the world champion. Like, Roman Reigns would never be on the kickoff show defending a championship or even wrestling on the kickoff show. Like, MJF should be nowhere near that. And I don't have a problem with Roman Reigns not being on TV every week. Like, the world champion should be a special attraction, and Hulk Hogan was not on every single show. It is a different era, though, when you have weekly television now, live weekly television, 2 major shows a week. You know, you do need to see the world champion a bit more often. And I think there could be a nice balance where Roman Reigns doesn't have to be on TV every week, but he should be defending the title at the major shows. And I think Roman Reigns not at Survivor Series is ridiculous. Okay, JJ.
I proposed an interesting compromise, I want to say about a week ago on open mic night. And it was like, why can't we, in this modern day television era of professional wrestling, have Roman come in for SmackDown this week, film 20 or so backstage segments with him, and then layer 1 or 2 in each week on SmackDown, leading to his next big pay-per-view.
You know why they don't do that? Because they don't have Vince Russo working with it. He was like one of the only, him and Ed Ferrara were like the only guys that ever did that. Remember, they used to tape Raw every other week. And if somebody was out injured, they would always tape things with them to at least keep them on TV while they were recouping from injuries.
I think that would be great and would end a whole lot of the problems, because if you had a few segments that you could insert each week, keep it seeming like there's a presence of Roman on the show, so that when Heyman, Solo, Jimmy go to the ring, it's like the crime boss is making the order and he's really not there. He's on one of his hiatuses, but we feel like he's there.
Yes, Walter.
They kind of do that because Paul Heyman calls Roman Reigns every week, even though you know he's not really doing it. They kind of tease that, call Roman Reigns, like he does that every week. So it's kind of like he's making the decision. If they do it at the beginning of the show, anything that happens later, it's because of that. Well, it's whatever they call them about.
It's not the same though, because JJ's saying have Roman's actual face in pre-tapes on the show, inserted like they're live, is what he's. That's why.
So we want to see Roman more. Like you want to see the top champion more. It's basically what the gist of all this is. And like I said, Gunther's a great choice. To me, he ain't my honorable mention. He'd easily three over Rollins. I would even pick him. Not one person in here. Now I don't know if anybody said her in the chat, and I know she had the best WrestleMania match. I think Rhea Ripley. She's on. I see more of her on the internet, almost to the level of Roman Reigns. She's overshadowing her whole group. I would say Rhea Ripley more so than Gunther, because I see her all over the place, and it could be because she's a female playing a goth chick, and it's gonna get clicks on the internet. But guess what? Mm-hmm. She's relevant. So
Yeah.
all three, I mean, you can't go wrong with any of them.
Yeah. As
And-
far as star power goes, Rhea Ripley is right there at the top. I mean,
I just
she
wanted to
just
give her
hasn't been
props.
defending the title a lot. I think that's why some people
Mhm.
look down on her reign but she is on TV every week. So that
She did just
definitely
beat
makes
4 or
up for
5
it.
women. How many were in that match in Saudi Arabia? 4 or 5?
5 women
Yeah.
total.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do have some super chats here.
Okay.
First up, shout out to Dwayne Atkinson. He sent in $9.99. Thank you. He says, sorry I've been slacking, but it's great to see you guys again. Here's to another 25 years to NoDQ and keep saying yes to it. Appreciate that, Dwayne. Thank you for tuning in. Dwayne's made a few appearances here and there on NoDQ panel videos. And the This Guy Experience said, personally, I'm tired of the face fighting champion, Seth Rollins. I mean, what do you guys think about that? Are you getting sick of Seth Rollins's gimmick with the bad back? Like some people
Yeah.
think that it's worn out its welcome at this point. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll co-sign with you on that. I feel like if they're going to play this angle of his back being injured, you've got to pull the trigger at some point and get the belt off of him. Otherwise, people are just not going to buy it. It's the proverbial boy who cried wolf. If all you do is keep telling us, oh, his back is torn up, and he goes out there and he has these 35-minute banners where people are targeting his back, and then, you know, he's skipping to the ring the next night on Raw, making people sing his song. It's like,
Yep.
how jacked up is his back really?
Yep. Walter?
I second JJ. Like, cause if you're gonna do that with his back, you should have had Nakamura beat him in the No Man Standing match, because that's the crucial, crazy match where he could have focused on his back. And you don't necessarily lose cleanly. You didn't get pinned. You just couldn't get up because of your back. So you should have just did that.
But that makes him a great champion because he's literally continuing with a broken back, carrying that championship proudly on Raw. That's what makes a great champion. He keeps fighting.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you
but you're
also
selling your
took all
back
this
during the
team-
match, but not the next night, like JJ said.
But you also just took all the steam out of Nakamura's like heel turn and push by having him lose that last man standing match in a match that he shouldn't have really lost.
What was the point of that match? The point of that match was to elevate the world champion, not Nakamura. Nakamura is a supporting role as a heel. He put over Rollins, the champion, and the champion continues his reign. Jeff?
What do you do with Nakamura then? Like going forward, like he's going to be stuck in the freaking mid card to lower card hell with Ricochet for the next
That's
2
what
years?
he is. Not everybody can be a main eventer.
And that's fine, but why would you? Because here's my thing with Nakamura, and I'm not trying to single anybody out, but I guess I'm going to have to. With that, it's just no choice, but I'm having this kind of discussion. Nakamura was doing nothing. They elevated him by turning him heel, have put him in a 2 to 3 month program, and now he's back to doing nothing.
He's on
Like-
TV. That's not nothing.
Okay. There's so many people on this roster that they could have, tweaked it a little bit. We talk about the number of people WWE has under contract. Why can't they just go, all these television shows go month to month, have one person challenge on the next, and then, because not everybody can be a main eventer. Okay, fine. Then why elevate somebody and then put them right back down there? If they're going to put them in the main event, keep them in the main event.
And Jeff, I was just thinking about this. We've talked Gunther, Roman Reigns. I brought up Rhea Ripley, Aaron, Seth Rollins. Are we going to get crapped on from this video because none of us really said MJF? Who you could
Probably.
really look at him thinking, wow, he's kind of carrying that company on his back. Shouldn't he get consideration? But yet none of us did. And I think we've all kind of enjoyed MJF's work. That's crazy. I don't think we didn't not pick him just to be salty.
Right.
No.
We just didn't pick him because
He's not the best champion.
just wanted to point
He's not a
that out
strong
there because there
champion.
could be people that watch us that think we're AEW hating here. But
No,
that's not the case.
Tito made a good point there on the comment Aaron just put up there. You have to find the balance. Seeing the world champion every week is one thing. Defending the championship is another thing. I don't think Raw or any of the world champions should be defending their. Jay and I have had this talk numerous times on the air. We shouldn't be seeing the world championship defended, or the heavyweight championship, or the universal championship, or the whatever the hell you want to call it championship, shouldn't be defended on broadcast TV. That should be for a pay-per-view or a premium live event or whatever they want to call it, this particular segment. But too much of it not happening is also a bad lack of balance the other way. Roman's had 30 defenses, be it on television or at live events, in over 3 years. That's very small amount. That was my thing with Roman as far as the strength of the championship. He's only actually defended the title 30 times.
And how many clean wins does he have out of those 30
Exactly. Like, very few of those are straight up clean wins. It's always been, well, not always, it's been either the bloodline helping him or him in the early days of the reign, him assaulting one cousin to have the other tap out, or whatever the hell the case was with Jay and Jimmy. So,
all right, guys, what wrestler that's not a champion right now do people want to become a champion the most? I think we can all be in the same boat here. Let's say it. Who? Cody Rhodes?
Cody Rhodes, yeah.
And who is he chasing in theory?
Allegedly, it's Roman.
So that, to me, by default, should make Roman Reigns the top champion in the game. And that's just me, given another reason. But I mean, these are all
right story. It's the right story. It's just the fact that we have to just sit and wait for it until WrestleMania, that it's being dragged out.
But anyway, all of them are. Aaron, we got another super chat that came in. We do got to move on. But
yeah.
I didn't think that topic was going to go the first half of the show. I'm glad I made it up. I was like, man, is this going to generate discussion or not? It did.
Well, no, you're 100% right that both LA Knight and Cody Rhodes in theory are chasing Roman Reigns. My only thing is, if the story is going to be that Cody becomes champion at WrestleMania in Philadelphia, why couldn't he be champion here? Why couldn't we go with JJ's point and have him win the title in the Garden?
Yeah, I mean,
like, why? Why at this point?
JJ?
Before we get to the super chat, I was just going to go off of your point as far as MJF, and at least why personally I didn't state him. Like you said, it's not trying to be AEW salty. I felt like MJF's reign got off to a lackluster start because he didn't defeat Punk. He didn't have Punk to challenge like everybody wanted. And then he's now got this thing going with the Ring of Honor tag titles, which to Walter said, almost make it feel like that's more important to his story right now than the world title.
Yeah.
So his reign has been bookended by this kind of shoddy booking as far as importance. The middle was good. The second act was good. But the first and third act of his storyline here has just been kind of mired in meh.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really bummed out we didn't get good guy MJF versus bad guy CM Punk for that unification match. Like, that was money right there. That was the match I was waiting for. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're ever going to see it. Walter?
The problem with MJF is it seems like before he got his title stolen, he didn't really care about that title. He was caring more about his friendship with Adam Cole. It's like weird. And so if the champion
remember who did not like that? Remember who did not like that?
Yeah. So if you come off as that, then how are we supposed to care if the champ himself seems like he don't care? I'm not saying he don't, but the way the booking is seems like it.
Okay, Aaron, super chats catch up. We'll move on.
Yep. All right. So Psycho Jet Black's got a few good ones for us here. First of all, he said the best champion is Mr. Leatherface, Jeff Jarrett.
Ain't he great? Woo!
Hard to argue that Leatherface championship. Look at it. It's a beauty right there. And it should be on TV. Where is that title, Tony
That's
Khan?
right.
Bring it back.
Dude, if I found a Hong Kong title company that sold a replica of that, I would buy that shit in a hurry.
It is so valuable that Jarrett doesn't even have it on his display during the podcast. He keeps that thing in a safe, hidden away, so nobody will know where it is in his house, so he can keep it safe from the raccoons and everything that are destroying his house. I'm telling you.
He doesn't want Karen to get it and take it to the pawn shop.
Nobody wants Karen to have anything, let's be honest.
Damn.
All right. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $5 super chat. He says, to quote Scott Steiner's promo against DDP, while you're laying on your back, screaming in pain, your wife is laying on her back, screaming my name.
All right.
That's a
Holla if you hear him.
Big Papa Pump as your hookup. Holla if you hear me.
Love Big Papa Pump. It's Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Says, better injury, Seth's back or Roderick Strong's neck?
The neck.
Bob Orton's arm.
The neck
Bob
by
Orton's
far
arm.
out of those two. Out of those two, Roddy's neck. That dude got into the ring on Collision, had a banner of a match, then put the brace back on.
Yes.
It's a miracle, man. I'm telling you. And Amine Gen 2.0 said, has Robbie Weist apologized? Also, was he in the right? Well,
hang on. He didn't say Robbie
no
Weiss.
comment.
No, hang on. He didn't say Robbie Weiss. He could have been Robbie E from TNA.
Well, I don't know who he's talking about, so I just said no
Mr.
comment.
Stone.
Yeah, Mr.
Anyways,
Stone.
To answer the question in a serious manner, we unfortunately have not talked to him, and I think it's unlikely he comes back. Would I like him to come back? Yes, but him and Virtue have not communicated, and it is what it is, man. I would like to see them back, but I just don't see it in the cards.
And I am not seeking an apology to me, but the NoDQ Galaxy, the chat, you people that come and watch every week, that's the bridge that needs fixed. But I'm just throwing that out there, and we can move on here.
All right. So we are caught up with the super chats. We're ready to move on to
next
the next
topic. And I don't have much to say on this, so I can let you four go at this. But Asuka turned heel. I didn't even know if she was babyface or heel. I thought she was doing heel things within the past year already. But and joins Damage Control with obviously Kairi Sane is there, Io Sky, Bailey, and Dakota Kai still, I believe. That's your faction. Asuka turns heel. Jeff, I'll start with you on this one. I don't have much to say on it. I like Asuka either way. She's always entertaining to me. What do you think?
We kind of went around this a little bit yesterday on Opening Night. It felt like, okay, so she's turning heel. No, she's turned. Okay, so she's reaffirming her heel status. Got it. It was very, very confusing for us, anyway, at least for me. I have expected her to do that, and then the three of them, Io and Kairi and Asuka, to just drop Bailey on her damn head, and it didn't happen. Is this leading to a War Games match between the women? Is it leading to a Survivor Series match where we could possibly see the continuation of, Bailey having control of her own faction ripped away from her? There's definitely something more to it than just the initial moment on SmackDown, and that's part of the wrestling fan nowadays. Oh, we want to know now. We want, give me what I want, the Batista bullshit. I really didn't know how to feel about it other than they did that heel turn at the end and they did Santos's early in the night. It was like, man, both of those felt okay, but at the completely wrong time. Santos either should have already happened or waited till, Survivor Series or something. Asuka's, it felt incomplete when the show went off the air. Like, okay, now what?
Yeah, it's just like putting this group together. So I don't really look at this thing about heel or face with Asuka. Clearly, they're putting the Japanese women connection together to dominate this group and go forward and maybe kick a person out or two. That's kind of what I'm fine with that.
No, right? I am too.
Why not? Maybe even have Nakamura join. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we there you go. That's profiling, and profiling is wrong. We were talking about this last night. If they're building toward a women's War Games match, they're building a War Games story within 2 weeks. That's not a war story. That's a minor skirmish at best.
Yeah, that's what WWE does, though. On to the next.
But it's silly though. Cody leading a War Games team is awesome for the old school fans. He's finally in a War Games match for Dusty, and they're battling the Judgment Day, who's been, for lack of a better term, I said this last night, the bloodline story on Raw. Like, they've been the dominant faction. They have to unite as a strong front to battle this dominant faction. That story makes sense. The women's thing being shoehorned in within 13 days is ridiculous.
That's WWE today, though, right?
I know.
It's like 24 hours is like a week for them. All right, Walter.
It's literally a soap opera.
I saw you posting some stuff in the chat. Now you can discuss here on video.
I've been begging for this Japanese mafia connection thing for a while since rumors of Kai was coming back. So I can't wait. They just need to kick Bailey and Dakota out and do it that way. And imagine if Mr. Fuji was still alive and then comes back to this and it'd be crazy. But Asuka, like Jeff said, she just kind of reconfirmed what she was. We never believed her to be a heel. She was like a tweener or something. I mean, to be a face. She was like a tweener or something. So we never believed it. So all she did was, hey, I'm here and I'm reminding you I'm a heel. And to Jeff's point, it's not a war game. You can't build war games on 2 weeks. You might as well bring back a traditional Survivor Series match. Just because the pay-per-view is called War Games doesn't mean you have to. Every match has to be a War Games. You already got the men's War Game. We can go with one War Games match, but then the women are gonna yell at me and equal rights and everything. Slow down. You could use that as a traditional match. JJ said it best last night on open mic night. Survivor Series is kind of unique where you can bring every type of match all in one pay-per-view. You can bring back the old traditional Survivor Series match. You could have the War Games match, and then you could do whatever kind of rivalry match. You could do brand supremacy, whatever you want, all on one pay-per-view. JJ said that last night, and he's right. It's like totally perfect. You don't have to build a War Games match just because the pay-per-view is called War Games, and that's the problem with gimmick pay-per-views, PLEs. You Hell in a Cell, everything's got to be Hell in a Cell. Like all these things do not have to exist, like just because that's the name of the pay-per-view. So, I mean, I know we get it. We all wanted War Games to come back, but it only has to be one match. So you could do that with the men's because they were actually Bloodline is a 3-year thing, and they've been causing trouble. So it makes sense for Cody's War Game match. And then the way Adam Pearce did it, he was like, I'm sick of you guys playing. That's it, War Games. Like the way they did it is perfect. You have to do it that way to end the rivalry. But this is just starting. What the hell's the point of putting them in the War Games match? And then people are saying there's going to be a mystery partner. I said this last night with JJ. Maybe Jade is the person, but she'll get overshadowed by debuting in a War Games match. Like I'd rather the spotlight be on her and her alone. Like why she got to go rescue a team? Like if you're gonna be that bitch,
what if she dominated in it?
I get it, but if you're gonna be that bitch, make it about that bitch and her alone. Like it debuts something like it just takes it away that she's got to save Bianca and Charlotte and all those people. And let's face it, Bianca and Charlotte can beat that whole team by their damn selves. Like they don't need the rest of anybody else. Look at the way Charlotte and Bianca have been booked for the last year. Charlotte can fluke and beat all of them by herself, to be honest. In a traditional elimination match, with them having to tag out, she can eliminate all of them. She's done it already. She beat them all at WrestleMania whoever she's faced at WrestleMania, she beat, which is 2 of them. She already beat Bayley how many countless times on SmackDown? Like like it's leading to nothing. It's like so I just don't see it. And then you don't need 2 heel turns on one night either.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Jade having that spot would be better for a Rumble spot, I think, than Survivor Series. Jade having a dominant like few moments of like going out there and being that bitch would be a better Rumble opportunity. Kind of like when Edge returned, it'd be like he was clearing the ring. So
was it still 2 heel turns, or was Asuka just affirming that she was always that way? Right?
It was 1.5.
Santos. So that Santos turning heel justified him dropping the brass knucks to Logan Paul, the crown jewel. Good.
Yeah.
All right, JJ, over to you now. Anything you want to add to this? Asuka joining Damage Control is more what the topic is about, in my opinion. Go.
It just seemed kind of lackluster to me, like everybody else has been saying. She more or less was just reaffirming her heel status. She hadn't been too prominent the last few months, so it was like, where's Asuka really? What is she up to? Oh, she's teaming with Bianca and Charlotte. I thought she was a heel. Oh, yeah, she just missed it, Bianca. She is a heel. Not sure why she aligned with Damage Control, because she's had her issues with Damage Control for the better part of the year as well. She's more or less been, and excuse the bad pun, but like a lone wolf heel. But she's still been a heel. The $1 million question is, I think, kind of goes back to what Walter is saying: is it going to be a War Games women's match, or is it going to be a traditional Survivor Series match? Either way, who becomes the 4th person on Team Babyface alongside what looks like it's going to be Bianca, Charlotte, and Shotzi? And the most realistic answer, despite her being a raw talent, is Becky Lynch. You figure when Damage Control debuted last year as a faction at SummerSlam, it was right after Bianca and Becky. It was right during that match. So, Jeff talks about trying to throw this match together in 2 weeks. If you really want to get down to it, all 4 of those people have had history and beef with Damage Control going back to their debut at SummerSlam.
Well said, JJ. I mean, like I said, I didn't have much to say. It was good to hear what everybody said. Aaron, you might be in the same boat as me. I mean, it is what it is, putting a group together and building them up with, whatever direction they're going to go with this, kicking Bailey out, who knows? But what do you have to say? And any super chats to catch up on?
We do have a super chat here. I'll read that off real quick from Hamp Connell. He says, tomorrow will be 18 years since we lost Eddie Guerrero. Where were you guys when you found out? I'm still thinking of him when I hear the song Hurt.
Damn.
I was just at home and I got a text from somebody and I did not believe it. I was in doubt about it. So yeah, it was definitely a shock. I think all of us were very shocked to hear that news, whether it was from text. Like, Jeff, how did you find out about it?
So I was staying at Dylan's mom's place.
Who's Dylan?
Really, my son.
Okay.
Sorry, I fear people watching NoDQ would know my son at this point, but that's okay. Sorry for the arrogance. My bad. Arrogancy. Wow, that was a good word, Jeff. I was staying at my son's mother's place, the really tiny little bachelorette she used to have there in wherever hell was. And we woke up and his image was on WWE.com. And we had thought, okay, well, maybe they run an injury angle because of Kennedy laying that chair upside his head the previous day on SmackDown. And then I looked closer and I saw the ears. I went, oh, gee. And I woke her up and we both were just devastated. You and I talked that day, Aaron, because we were still doing XMV at that time. So that was a long time ago.
Jeez. XMV.
Never mind. Just go. Ask the next person.
Our old video show XMV, just in case.
Okay, our old video show XMV. Again, people. Whatever. We just did an anniversary show 3 days ago talking about it. For Christ's sakes, Rift.
You know what's funny? In 2010, when our old co-host, I'm not going to mention his name, but when he came back, like people were like, "Who is this guy?" Like nobody knew who he was. Like the audience.
Okay, fair point.
It's crazy. Like not like some people know that old school stuff, but surprisingly, a lot of people never watch that stuff. I know that's crazy, but it is.
Well, it's not so crazy in the world we live in. Things move so fast. Even back then, figure we finished XMV, the original video show run in 2006. Talk Wrestling was on a year later, so we just kept moving.
I mean, the audiences change and stuff. I remember when the Ultimate Warrior's music played on an episode of Raw in 1999. I think it was a comedy skit with Howard Finkel or Chris Jericho or somebody, but Ultimate Warrior's music played and there was no crowd reaction whatsoever, nothing. And this was a guy that was on WWE TV 3 years earlier. So,
it was on WWE TV a year prior on that god-awful story with Hogan. So, he was still in discussion within a year's time. So
anyways, we've gone off track on that.
Yeah,
so,
sorry.
Walter, where were you when you heard the news?
I was home. I woke up and one of my best friends called me and was like, "Did you hear what happened?" And I was like, "No." And they described it, and I almost dropped the phone. It was like losing a family member. That one hit me hard. I don't know what it was about. Like, I liked Eddie and everything, but I don't know what it was about his untimely death. But that one just it hit me hard, like real hard. Like, I don't know what it was about him. Like, I was a big fan of Mr. Perfect. I loved it, but that Mr. Perfect didn't hit me as hard as Eddie. I don't know. I can't put my finger on exactly what it was, but man, I cried like a baby when I heard that. And it screwed up my whole week that week.
Oh, wow. What about you, JJ? Where were you?
I've got one of those, like, where were you stories. Like, it's going to take a minute to regurgitate all this. I'll try to get through it as quick as I can, though. My daughter's mom and I were on our way home from a Northern California wrestling show. We had gone up to meet a bunch of legends. And we were driving back home that day, and one of my friends at the time, who I'm no longer in communication with, called me. He was like, "Dude, did you hear what happened?" I was like, "No, we're driving home from Northern California." He's like, "Eddie is dead." I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "What happened?" He's like, "I don't know. News is just still coming out." I was like, "Well, please keep me posted because I don't have freaking phones that are internets at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we ended up driving to some friends of ours in Long Beach when we got back in. It was the same night as the Genesis pay-per-view for TNA. And we went to their house, we watched it, and I remember vividly, you know, Bubba and Devon cutting a promo, you know, and Bubba having Eddie on his wrist tape, and then in his promo with Vaya con Dios, mi amigo, and it still wasn't real to me. Like it really hadn't set in yet what was happening. And then came Eddie the next night, and everybody on the ramp, and the opening strains of Johnny Cash's Hurt hit, and I just dropped. It just all flooded out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
The only wrestler that I ever really like shed like crocodile tears over the death of.
I don't remember where I was, Aaron, but I remember when I found out it was because it was 2005. It was on a BlackBerry.
Oh wow!
I remember that's where I remember because I had to like go to the computer and start going to site like to get you know make sure what's going on here. Why is this? Yeah, on a BlackBerry. That's just weird to realize it was so long ago. I mean, the wrestler deaths. I mean, we had what happened to Owen Pillman. I mean, you know, Rude at that point by then, Hennig. It was just like Tito's just said in the chat, like he was starting to get like he just said that's it, man. This wrestler deaths are crazy, man. And you watch these guys and then you get this news and you're gutted. And he said he stopped writing for a while.
Yeah.
Very
the irony of JJ's story is I think the first name of that friend is the same first name as our old co-host that we were running with at that time, Aaron. So just strange how small the world is.
There you go. All right. So as far as the topic, which I should have read the super chat after I gave my thoughts. I already talked about it on the SmackDown.
Yeah, we can move on to the main
I liked it. I thought it was well done. And Walter mentioned what I had said on Friday, that I think that the two heel turns on one show was not really necessary, but you know, they're trying to set up this match for Survivor Series. I like the idea of making the women's match a traditional Survivor Series match instead of War Games, but they got to have the two, one for the men, one for the women. So it is what it is. And I'm sure it'll be entertaining. I'm looking forward to seeing how this Bayley storyline plays out. And that's all I got to say about that, as Forrest Gump said.
Yes. Ready to move on to the main event?
Let's do it.
Okay, so we talk some Vince McMahon here, right? We know he's still chairman of the board on the WWE side for TKO, and we just got some news recently that he sold 8.4 million of his TKO stocks, cashing in probably close to just under $1 billion. I don't know what that adds up to. I think that I don't know the exact numbers. I think that's about a third of the stocks that he has. So he still has a good chunk of ownership in TKO, and he's still chairman of the board. So we got to talk about this, though. What does it mean? That's a lot of money to free up. And, you know, we hear these different things of like they're worried he's a risk factor because of the NDAs and all the stuff. And like, are they, you know, is that relationship souring? Is Vince seeing like, hey, maybe I got to get out of here? I don't know, but that's a lot. That's a lot of money, a lot of stocks, but he still has a lot. That just shows you, even though he's not that majority owner again, he still has, I believe he owned more stocks than any other single person for that company. So I'll start with you, Walter. What do you have to say on this one? Vince cashing in, man. Really, I mean, he could start up. If Tony Khan started AEW with $100 million, Vince McMahon, if he wanted to, could walk away from TKO and start up another wrestling promotion. What do you have to say?
He sure could, but I don't got much to say. I'm not reading into this. Is more of a Vince McMahon did it because he can and because he's Vince McMahon. Damn it. That's pretty much my explanation to it. Because I'm Vince and because I can, God damn it, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get people to talk about me. That's all it is. It's sheer boredom. Like I will never believe.
And he still has a lot. He still has a lot of stocks that he owns.
I'll never believe that his foot would never like not completely be involved in something until he's buried and in the ground. Like to me, I would never believe it until we have to all say rest in peace, Vince. he's always going to be involved some way, somehow. This is just sheer, I'm Vince, damn it, and I can do it. That's all it is to me.
And that's liquid. That's going to turn into liquid money for him. Like, just think about
Pretty
that.
much.
Tito said it's just under $700 million. Just let's keep in mind, Tony Khan had allegedly $100 million of trust fund money to start AEW, and here Vince McMahon is cashing out almost $700 million in stocks and still has a buttload left. Jeff Meacham, what do you have to say about this? Vince always figuring out a way to get people to talk about him business-wise, no matter if it's good or bad. Man, what do you have to say, Jeff?
I would like Saffet's comment to be brought up before I get going here, because Vince is apparently the executive chairman of TKO. All that means is he's like the chairman in transition while they're finalizing all this, how this thing shakes out. He doesn't really have any like board power or board say, or however you want to phrase it. It was like when oh God, I'm trying to think who was when Bob Iger retired, he's back now, God bless him, in 2020, and named Bob Chapek the CEO, the chief executive officer. He remained the executive chairman. That was just to make sure things were being overseen and not being screwed up. It's a good thing he stayed, isn't it? That's what Vince was basically like, almost awarded that title. It's like, okay, you make sure things don't go too crazy. And unfortunately, the majority of the company heads during that SEC filing deemed him a risk on a financial basis because of him being Vince McMahon and what he's been up to, or however they want to phrase it. So I think it's significant that he's selling off a lot of these shares and all that, and getting all this money accumulated. I think he's looking for an exit strategy. I'm binge watching old Raw episodes, and they're talking about, there's one guy that's been in charge, and he'll be in charge until he takes his last breath. It's Vince McMahon. It's like, no, that's not the case anymore. He's no longer in direct control, and he hasn't been since his retirement, however you want to call it, back last year. And even with him becoming executive chairman and overseeing this merger, once everything is concrete and done and the building's up and everybody's in, I would be very surprised if he stuck around much too long after that.
Now, all right, JJ, right? I have to say this. Vince freed up cash. It's now not company name. It becomes his money. And we all know what happened in WWE with the NDAs and him using company money. Does he got more people to pay off the hush? Is he going to fund some Donald Trump campaign? I mean, like, the timing of this. You got it. Conspiracy. Let's talk about it, because what does the media do? They always talk about this stuff. I just wanted to throw that out there. Go. Now it's your turn.
That's fair. That's fair. I think at the end of the day, this is just there were reports on the internet circulating that Vince McMahon being on the board was bringing some heat to TKO. And they figured that if he sold off a bunch of his stock, that it would alleviate some of that tension on them from the press. That's what I think it is personally.
That's a good point.
There could be a little something to what you bring up about more people to pay off. It could be that he sold off some of that stock to pay back into the WWE for the WWE money that he took to pay those people off. He's got to replenish, what he gave out. But at its core, I think it just comes down to the fact that this is how they're going to try to take some of the heat and the pressure off, because we haven't even gone a full year since announcing this deal as of yet. And there's already controversy surrounding it because Vince McMahon is still maybe not at the forefront, but definitely towards the forefront of the endeavor with Endeavor.
Yeah, and crazy thing is, JJ, he still has a crap ton of stocks left in TKO. So yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, he's just being Vince McMahon, and he loves playing his. And again, it could be a TKO thing that kind of, I don't know how that works. Like, hey, you got to sell off this many stocks. But the fact is, he's the one that has to choose to do that. I don't know how that pressure goes, but man, like Vince McMahon, just think about this. he basically made professional wrestling and became a billionaire with it. That is insane. Like the Khans, like Shad Khan made his fortune in the auto industry, owns a football team. I think the football team's just like something to do for him. Vince McMahon became a billionaire because of pro wrestling, sports entertainment, man. That is just, that blows my mind. And you know, I know he has his haters, but like, that's just so impressive. Like,
you can say whatever you want to say about Vince McMahon, the man, but I don't think anybody out there, unless they're just a straight up hater, is going to hate on Vince McMahon, the businessman.
Yeah.
And Vince McMahon, the businessman, is smart enough that he's probably got a plan B in trying to sell these stocks off. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he's got Shane or Stephanie or Hunter or somebody, you know, some trust in Declan McMahon's name, accumulating these stocks so that it's still within the family.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, that's a good point. Walter, you had something else to say?
No, when he was saying Vince McMahon, the man, I was saying, you know how they got this whole, would you take $500 or $1,000 or lunch with Jay-Z? If it was that or lunch with Vince, I'm picking Vince. I'm telling you, because the businessman is just, it's too much. Like, what you can learn from him, you can say what the hell you want about the man himself, but the business Vince, I would love to pick his brain and just sit there and listen to him, man. So I would pick Vince all day.
I like watching about businessmen and stuff, and like just how they can take companies and save them, or a lot of cases what CEOs will do is, and there are bad ones that burn companies, take all the money, they leave, company goes bankrupt and is gone or sells, but a lot of them go in and save companies too. It's a fascinating, I went to school for business, so that stuff fascinates me. All right, Aaron, you're probably just as bored with this as you are sports, but anything to speak on, it is about Vince McMahon. So anything to speak on this or anything from the chat?
Well, I feel like the chat is pretty quiet right now. I feel like they're bored with this topic. I think it's because people don't really buy that he has a realistic chance of being gone. Like, we all thought like in 2022 he was gone and he somehow came back. He's like that horror movie character. He's like Michael Myers. You shoot him 6 times and he pops right back up. And now there's all this talk that maybe this is his exit strategy. Maybe he's leaving. Maybe Endeavor's going to force him out. I'll believe it when I see it. I mean, it's the same story here. Vince, I just cannot imagine him not having any kind of involvement whatsoever in WWE until he is 6 feet under the ground. I think that he will somehow be involved. Maybe he's got some other projects he wants to work on. Maybe he is being phased out, but I just cannot see him being 100% gone. And it's like The Godfather. Just when you think he's out, he gets pulled right back in.
And Aaron,
I
don't think he's going to be 6 feet under the ground. I think he's going to be in a vaulted tomb. Like
That's right.
He's going to have some
wait
big
a
old
minute.
people can go and worship it.
Jeff, what was that story about Walt Disney when he died?
Froze himself or something.
He's trying to get frozen. Yeah. They even made fun of it on Futurama with the frozen Walt head. Again, having been to the place where he's allegedly hidden away and, you know, frozen or whatever, and also having been to his gravesite, yeah, he's gone. It sucks, but he's gone. Vince, though, you know what? I wouldn't have anything past Vince McMahon at this point. I really wouldn't. If there's a way to cryogenically freeze yourself until you can get rid of all the bad press and all the hush, all the stuff, Vince probably knows what it is by now.
We do have some super chats here. I'll get to those. First of all, James sent in $5. Shout out to James. He says, cheap plug for my son's football team heading to the New England Championships. Go New Bedford Bears. Go number 74. Thank you. Thanks for the clip, guys. LOL.
That's one New England-based team I can get behind. There you go. Very good.
All right. Well, Jeff's got their back.
That's right.
And Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Says Vince could buy and run the NWA better than Billy Corgan.
Declan McMahon could buy the NWA and run it better than Billy Corgan right now. Throwing it out there.
EC3 could buy the NWA.
When was the
and
last
run it
time
better than
NWA was
EC3.
ever ran well to where it was relevant, though? I'm a serious question because I don't know.
I mean,
I'm asking you. Give me like the
1995?
time frame, the 5-year decade, or when was it?
Ran well enough to sustain on its own. Never, because there's always a territory system, but the dominant territory would be Crockett, which would be before 1988. So I would say like 83 to 88.
Yeah, I said
And even then it was
85.
already starting to. So
yeah. All right, so 26.2 miles outside parts unknown. My favorite username sent in $2. He says, "Hello everyone, Aaron. Happy 25 years of no DQ. I very much appreciate that super chat." JJ.
I just want to touch on 26.2 miles because he popped into open mic night last night and was commenting on the image of you and Jeff with the guitar
that's
and
right.
saxophone. And he super chatted us to have Jeff sing With My Baby Tonight because of the guitar. He was asking us, and since we're on here with you, we'll throw you on the spot, Aaron. What amount would he have to super chat to get you to play something on the saxophone? And what could you still play on the saxophone?
I cannot play anything on the saxophone.
that's what I told him.
FYI.
I'm like, I was
Okay.
pretty sure
There's
you hit the
Asuka.
sax.
Mary had a little
Like-
lamb. You
It's
can't
like
even
you
do
can't
those.
you can't study for a week or two and maybe for Christmas break out some Careless Whisper or something. Like
Well, first of all, I would have to have that saxophone shipped to me from California, so that's
it's
the
probably not
first
good, yeah.
issue. You're gonna have to pay that. That shipping alone would be substantial.
Yes.
So yeah, no more saxophone for me.
Okay.
No
Ain't
more
gonna happen.
saxophone.
sorry,
no more
26.2
song.
miles outside parts unknown. We're here on the review. He is right there next to me.
We
I
tried. We tried, brother.
It's not really a realistic possibility. I have to buy a saxophone and then learn how to play it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're saying the odds of you playing it on the review are highly unlikely in all likelihood.
Correct.
Okay.
but you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah,
Hey.
there's a chance. Just like there's a chance of CM Punk showing up at Survivor Series.
Hey, I think
Breaking
there's a
the-
better
You know
chance
what?
than
Okay.
that.
You know what?
I'll tell you
I
what.
feel a bet for
I'll
me.
tell you what. If
Uh-oh.
CM Punk shows up at Survivor Series, I will get that alto saxophone and I will try to play it on a no DQ.
All you got to do is learn like Farajaka or Mary Had a Little Lamb or
I'll
something
do
like
it.
that.
I will do it.
I used to be
what
able to do
song?
that in 6th and 7th
I
grade.
will this is on record. I will relearn the saxophone and play it on the no DQ review as soon as I possibly can after Survivor Series, sometime before the end of 2023. I will play the alto saxophone.
Okay.
If CM Punk shows up on camera at Survivor Series, it can't be him backstage, visiting friends. He has to actually appear on the premium live event in front of the fans. If
Aaron,
that happens, I will play alto saxophone again.
Aaron, I'm
I
throwing it
wouldn't-
out there.
I
We
wouldn't
have our
normally hijack your chats, but he's saying thank you and OMG in the chat room. So
Aaron, you just created an even more desire from the NoDQ Galaxy, at least, to have Punk show up.
right.
Yeah.
I know.
Just to tune in, even though it could be a 1% chance, they're gonna come on.
I'll tell you what,
This is
I
it.
will
This
learn-
is it. It's
I
been
will
quiet.
I will not just play saxophone. I will learn a wrestler's theme song and play it on saxophone.
Val Venus.
Personality.
Val
Hey,
Venus.
You know what I'm getting out of this? Aaron's very, very confident in Sean Ross Sapp and Dave Meltzer right now. That
Geez.
that's what I'm getting out of this. So that makes me want this to happen even more now. Oh my God, will I have a field day? Oh
So
my!
there you
throw
go.
it out there.
26.2 miles outside parts unknown.
I would have
just
paid
made that
$50
happen
for this
you.
pay-per-view now because of this.
There you go.
All right.
Throwing it out there, Aaron. We have our episode 100 of Open Mic Night on New Year's Eve. You should
No,
play.
Aaron, you got to learn Cult of Personality. That's
I will
I was
play
gonna say, either-
Cult of
No
Personality.
sign.
I'll play Roman Reigns' theme song. I'll take requests.
Play
Old
Old
Lang
Lang
Syne
Syne.
plays into the new year. That's easy on the sax.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat and says Aaron should play Dead Man Walking on a saxophone. I'll do it. You wanna
As long as JJ sings along with it.
He's very confident that it's
I
not
should
gonna-
force my son to play the piano with you and do some of the song.
Aaron,
God, this
were
is
you more,
evolving
listen,
way
listen.
well.
So are you more confident in saying this or back when the Zack Ryder won the Intercontinental Tap? Like, what are you feeling between those two right now?
I mean, I think that there's less of a chance of CM Punk showing up than how I felt about Zack Ryder winning that.
Okay.
Well, yeah, well, that turned out.
I would say like there's a 0.0001% chance CM Punk shows up at Survivor Series. I don't think it's happening. I think Uncle Dave and Mr. Sapp are right with their sources.
Wait, my son plays the violin too. I'll make him play
And I hope we're all wrong.
Hey, when are we gonna start saying that Punk's the devil in AEW?
People are already saying people already.
That'll be the next thing we go on to. Yeah, that'll be the next thing we go on to.
This is how it's going to be.
Virtue.
Every WWE pay-per-view from now on, we're going to see the CM Punk at the airport picture. We're going to hear the rumors, and now for AEW, they're gonna keep speculating about CM Punk possibly coming back. I love that. CM Punk is the devil, and him and MJF, we finally get that match for the title. Man, imagine if they had CM Punk as the reveal at Full Gear, and then that World's End pay-per-view at CM Punk versus MJF.
I swear, if Punk is at the Forum next weekend, you're going to hear the nuclear explosion from this house. It's going to be a thing.
He better not be the devil because I put my hair on the line for that.
You did. That's true. You did.
Here's
going to be the
next rumor. CM Punk is going to make his debut January 13th for TNA because CM Punk in wrestling is hard to kill.
That's right.
Yeah. CM Punk shows up at Hard to Kill. He might as well just flush his career down the toilet.
CM Punk and Wrestle Kingdom. You heard it here first.
Wrestle Kingdom is,
it's more likely than TNA.
At least there'll be people there.
Oh, yeah, isn't there New Japan rumors too with Punk? There's rumors everywhere for CM Punk. That's how he likes it.
CM Punk will be
that'll be next week on the review, right, Virtue?
All right. Yeah. So we got a few Walt Disney super chats. Look what you did, Jeff and JJ.
Well, hey, it's perfect for our plugs. So there you go.
All right. Hap Kano, who we're supposed to have on at some point to debate Virtue about the state of the wrestling business. Maybe we'll have that happen over the next couple of weeks. Hamp says Walt Disney was, how do you pronounce this?
Cryogenically.
Frozen. Therefore, they made the Frozen movies just so if you Googled it, those movies would pop up instead of that.
Yeah, if you Google Disney Frozen, Walt pops up instead of the movies. If that's actually true, it actually does take place.
Are there any Easter eggs about him in those movies, Jeff? Frozen and Frozen 2?
Not that I'm aware of. Maybe the second one, just because they made another one. But the first one I think is pretty Walt Easter egg free. I could be wrong though.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat and says, "What is the worst Disney cartoon movie of all time?" Well, Jeff and JJ love all the movies, but
Black Cauldron, easily.
Okay, JJ, you agree?
I would have to go with that, or take a stab at like one of the package films from the 40s when they were just trying to crank out shit because of the war.
Yeah, but as far as cartoon standalone story, either that as far as theatrically, but the home video like sequels like Cinderella 2 or Bambi 2 or those are like
Aladdin 2. They didn't even edit the mistakes out of it. If you watch it, you can see the mistakes.
Return of Jafar is pretty rough. It's pretty rough. Yeah. But they didn't care because Rob Williams wasn't back for it, so they really didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
All right. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. This is for Jeff and JJ because I wouldn't know. He says, "Have you guys heard the Mickey Unwrapped album?"
Oh, yes.
I have. I used to have it, and no shit, guys. I would play it on KLBC, the Long Beach City College radio station. There was a track on there called "What a Mouse" with Minnie and Daisy rapping to Salt and Pepper's "One a Man," talking about how awesome Mickey was.
It's legitimately a thing. Yeah.
Wow.
There was also a track called "Whoomp There It Went" instead of "Whoomp There It Is."
I mean, that has to be on par, like all-time greatest rap album with Hulk Hogan's 1994 album, right?
Hey, you know what? It sold more copies than "Be a Man."
It definitely did. Right, Macho. Anyway,
unfortunately, it was actually a decent album. I thought
it was decent because he let us interview him and we plugged the hell out.
I actually liked the "Be a Man" album.
The "Be a Man" track was fun. The album itself, I mean, it was they had a nice tribute to Kurt. That was decent, and the title track's hysterical. The rest of it, but yeah.
Anyways.
As far as the rap tracks, JJ, we got to get those on the show next week. We got to have somebody do those things if we get super chats for it.
We're caught up, Virtue. I think we're ready to do our plugs now.
Cool.
Let's go around and do them. Jeff, I'll start with you. I mean, is it fair to say that Roman Reigns is the Mickey Mouse of WWE?
I would say had Disney bought WWE, then yes, that'd be the so. All right, so I'm going to lead into JJ's plug with my plug here. So yeah, this is everything besides next Saturday that's coming up on, or this Saturday rather, on Across the Multiverse. JJ's reviews of and recaps of television. Dad's tomorrow will be the top 10 non-Disney animated. So we're starting off with a twist on Disney Week. We're doing the top 10 non-Disney animated movies tomorrow. Meech's musing, Stepway Sports tomorrow. What happened?
He said it's a Russo swerve, bro.
Russo serve, bro. We're doing a different style, bro. Greg Cherry Show Wednesday. Talk Wrestling on Thursday because Aaron's doing the predictions for Full Gear on Tuesday. Thank you, boss man. Appreciate that. Simply Predicting for Full Gear will be also on Thursday, as will our Throwback Thursday for TNA. Well, Throwback Thursday should be on Thursday, right? And then the Friday Night War watch along, AEW Rampage and Collision, and the West Coast feed of SmackDown. That's all coming up, leading up to JJ.
Saturday, we will be doing our watch-along coverage of AEW Full Gear with myself and Noah calling the action. And then, yes, everybody in the chat room is invited to come on over for Open Mic Night Disney Karaoke. We are going to be having a blast as we spin the wheel, and everybody on the panel, including Noah, who will have a hard time awakening from his nightmare before Christmas.
Yes.
We will all be singing Disney songs next Saturday, immediately following AEW Full Gear. In the words of the Beatles, a splendid time is guaranteed for all.
Yes.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you, JJ. All right, Walter, got anything? You're usually quick.
Yeah, I'm on the X with Walter Alex Cruz, and then Cal Fire Farms is the Instagram, and the Rage of Wrestling YouTube channel is up. I just did the watch along for UFC 295, so you can check that out. And again, as always, thanks Virtue, thanks Aaron, thanks everyone for having me up here.
You are welcome. All right, Aaron.
Thank you, Walter. And 26.2 miles outside of Parts Unknown sent in a $2 super chat. Says, does Mr. Virtue make any bets?
Well, sure. I won $100 from Josh Mansfield before, so yes, I do.
I was just gonna say, yeah, they did.
Yep.
Out of curiosity, did he already pay that bet off?
He did.
Okay, I was gonna say because I can just pay you when
because
I
Jeff, I had to give Aaron to hold my money, and he had to give Aaron to hold his money.
That's fair.
Before it even happened. That, or else to me, a bet's not official. So
that's fair. That's fair.
Yep.
All right, so we got predictions for Full Gear this Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, right here on the NoDQ YouTube channel. And we got Survivor Series predictions, which will be the following Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, Tuesday and Tuesday special. And then, of course, after Full Gear, which will be very late, like past midnight Sunday, I'll be doing my live stream recap, and then, of course, a recap of Survivor Series. A lot of content coming up. Jeff Meacham's got Talk Wrestling coming up, and JJ's got all the stuff on his channel with the open mic night and so on and so forth. You saw the graphic. Walter's got his stuff going on. He just did a UFC watch-along, which I haven't had a chance to check out yet, but I will give him some feedback on that. You guys let him know your thoughts. Give him feedback over at the Walter Cruz YouTube channel, Rage of Wrestling, and follow Virtue. We'll put up his graphic now. Virtue, go ahead, wrap us up, and we'll see you guys for the next episode of the NoDQ review.
Follow me on x.com if you dare at NoDQ_Virtue. And I thought Aaron was going to put my graphic up, but he's not there.
There it is.
Just so we can see Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
And then, just go to NoDQ.com, NoDQ.com/merch. You know the deal. Check out JJ's stuff, Jeff's stuff over on the Jeff Meacham Network. Thank you, everybody, the whole NoDQ Galaxy and the whole crew, even if you weren't here tonight. We will be back again to do this next week. Right, Aaron, on Sunday?
Actually, we might have to move to a different night just because there's a WWE live event in Saginaw, Michigan, which we might be going to. Not 100%, but I think we might be going to that. So if we are, we'll have to bump it to a different night. So Jeff might get bumped.
For Aaron, for JJ, for Jeff,
I'm calling my spot for
the
next
reliable one, I'm Virtue. Good night, NoDQ Galaxy. We'll see you again next time.
Good night, everybody.
Oh boy.
That was good.
It was good, actually.